Happy International Coffee Day. Yes, it is International Coffee Day today. I only discovered that while I was on my way home this afternoon. I thought I'd better do something about coffee, but you may wonder, whatever for? You're not a coffee expert, and you're right, I know absolutely nothing about it. Except, of course, that I do know that wine and coffee have a few similarities. One of the things is that coffee is tasted using an aroma wheel or a flavor wheel, same as wine. So, good enough reason to talk coffee tonight. I have a few facts about coffee in South Africa. Apparently, there are more than 6 million people who drink coffee at the high end of the market. That's a lot of people because we only have almost 60 million people, and that means more than 10% are drinking upper end. What about the rest of us? Yes, many people are drinking coffee at the lower end of the market. Instant coffee, for example. Coffee in a plunger. Coffee in a liquid form. Coffee in capsules. You name it, coffee comes in so many different flavors and styles, just like wine. So tonight, I'm talking a little bit about coffee. Of course, it really is big business, this coffee. Coffee machines cost a huge amount of money, I understand. And, of course, the high-end coffee costs a lot of money too. But then they tell us that it comes from the very best regions, and when you want quality, you have to pay for it, just as with wine. I'm going to try something new with my coffee tonight. And that is, I want to make a cocktail. It is bedtime here in Cape Town. You may be rising and you may be having lunch, or some of you may be just chilling out with your coffee today. But I want to try something called Uncle Harry's Coffee Cup. Why do I call it that? Well, first of all, I'm going to use a local whiskey called Harrier. And Harrier comes from the stable where I worked. Now, I'm not a horse. I'm not talking about Harry the horse. I'm talking about Harrier whiskey. It's a local whiskey, fine for our coffee cup. And I call it Uncle Harry's because I had an Uncle Harry. Uncle Harry would have been probably 112, 113 years old had he lived this long. Uncle Harry, my mom's brother, he had a very strange middle name. As a child, I always wondered why parents would call their children by a name like that. He was Harry Woodend Gertson, Dutch, of course. You know, when you're in the Cape, you have all sorts of flavors and all sorts of mixtures, just like coffee and just like wine. So Uncle Harry was Harry Woodend Gertson of Dutch stock. And Uncle Harry also enjoyed a little toot. So I am going to do something very South African and very African tonight. I'm mixing the cocktail Harry's Cup with the Harrier whiskey along with Wild Africa cream liqueur. Because we don't need to go anywhere else in the world. We have it right here in South Africa, proudly African. So let's try and see what the surprise is as we develop Harry's coffee cup. Of course, the first thing you need is coffee. I'm not going to offend anybody by showing you what brand of coffee I'm using, but I am going to put a couple of spoons of coffee into my jug, and I'm going to add the water in a minute. Notice that it's boiling water, nice and warm. And of course, it's a jug that can withstand the heat. So let's just give that a stir. Notice it's just a little swizzle stick. Don't have to go out and buy anything too expensive to go and swirl. Just use your sushi stick. And this is not gin. It just is a little bit of water to clear my throat. Now we've got our coffee mix. We're going to take our Harrier and we're going to put in a tot of Harrier. Let's just get it out. Little tot of Harrier. This is a 50 ml, so I'm only going to use a 25 ml of Harrier in there, along with 25 ml of the Wild Africa. Two of those go together, and we're now going to pour in our coffee, keeping in mind that the Wild Africa is quite sweet, and therefore we don't need to add any sugar. You could, of course, add a little bit more if you want. Let's do that. Oops. Harry's coffee cup. And to that, I am going to add a blob of toffee. How is that? That's your blob of toffee going in here instead of sugar. And there we have a simple Harry's coffee cup. Stir it just slightly. And to that, we're going to just sprinkle a little bit of the coffee granules on the top so that they float on the top. And unfortunately, I cannot bend the glass toward you, but there we have Harry's coffee cup with Harrier and Wild Africa, all the way out of Africa, as they would say. The next one I'd like to do, because I do have two, I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but instead of just, I've got hot coffee, but I'm going to add ice cream to it. Yes, believe it or not, ice cream. So we're going to put in the ice cream into the container, softened somewhat. A couple of blobs of ice cream. There we go. Blobs of ice cream. And that is homemade, Ingrid Special homemade ice cream. Pure cream in here with the condensed milk. So it's already fairly sweet. Now we're going to add a little bit of dash of Harrier to it. And we're going to top it up with the coffee. So here you have hot and cold mixed. And there you have a variation on the Uncle Harry's coffee cup. We have it hot, just with the Wild Africa, and here we have it with ice cream. So this is Cheers to Uncle Harry. I'll see you next time. Enjoy your coffee any way you like, as long as you enjoy it. This is Ingrid, and I'm at Wintelligence, the smart way to learn about wine. Till I see you next time, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.